Good morning and welcome to the virtual worship service of the Unitarian Universalist Meeting House of Provincetown, where we affirm the worth and dignity of every person and where we support each other in our spiritual search for truth and meaning. My name is Reverend Kate Wilkinson, and I'm so glad you've joined us. Today is Father's Day, so today's service is dedicated to all of you dads out there. I know that Father's Day can be a complicated holiday for some of us. Not everyone has a father, although a lot of us have father figures in our lives that are not related to us by blood. Some of you have great relationships with your father. Some of you have terrible relationships with your father. Some of you have lost your father either a long time ago or quite recently, which makes today poignant and hard. And finally, I know that several of you in the congregation are caring for fathers who are ill right now. And so we surround you and your dads with our love and prayers today. As I light my chalice here at the meeting house, I invite you to light a candle wherever you are, and in that way we can feel connected to one another. And I've invited some of the dads in our congregation to light candles along with me this morning.
This is Mason, father of Cameron and grandfather of Lucy, lighting a candle in Gulfport, Florida.
This is Stan, dad and granddad to a great bunch of guys. My sons, Noel and Adam, and my grandkids, Casper, Jubal, Miko, Elio, and Joseph, lighting a candle from Truro.
Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm the father of Louis, and I'm lighting this candle for all fathers everywhere.
And I'm Jonathan. I'm Louis's other dad, and I'm lighting this candle for any kid out there who never had a father growing up, because your beautiful light is always shining.
Hi, my name's Louis, and I'll be lighting this for both of my fathers.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Good friends together gather here. Where are we bound? Your hands and voices fill my heart. Here is my home. Come, morning, come, light. Where are we bound? Come, daylight, come, night. Here is my home. If we can join ourselves in song, where are we bound? Our hearts will live when we are gone. Here is my home. Come, morning, come, light. Where are we bound? Come, daylight, come, light. Here is my home. The spirit which finds music here. Where are we bound?
This morning's reading is entitled, Shaped by Our Fathers. Our lives are shaped by our fathers, their presence or their absence, the cup of their hand or the back of their hand, their unconditional love or the conditions for their love. Our lives are shaped by our fathers, by their patriotism and by their protest, by their PhDs and their PTSD, by the patrimony and by the patriarchy. Our lives are shaped by our fathers, by the dreams from our fathers, by the vision of our forefathers, by our grandfathers' blessings. Our lives are shaped by our fathers, by the sins of our fathers, and by their faith, by the times they knew best and the times they didn't, by our Father who art in heaven, and the ones right here on earth. Our lives are shaped by our fathers, and we, in turn, shape them. On Mother's Day last month, I collected advice that your mothers had given you in a sermon called Mama Said There'd Be Days Like This. Dads are also great ones for giving advice, aren't they? Although I'm reflecting that often fatherly advice falls into the more practical camp rather than the philosophical kind. Here are some of the topics that I've asked my dad for advice about in the last few months: rinsing clams, removing a dead branch from a tree, and moving my kayaks. Now that I'm an adult, the questions go both ways. Here are some of the things that my dad has asked me advice about in the last few months: how to get on Zoom, how to post on Facebook, and the most delicious way to cook scallops. I know my dad has some good advice for life too, and he can be philosophical at times. but I really do cherish that when faced with an everyday problem during the course of my week, I can call my dad for some practical advice. It feels like a giant safety net in my life. Being able to turn to his Dadvice. That's advice from a dad. Maybe that's why I was drawn to the story of Rob Kenny this week. Rob Kenny is a father of two who had a complicated relationship with his own father. When he was little, his parents' marriage was a rocky one. His father worked in a neighboring city and was often away. He ended up having an affair and leaving Kenny's mother, who began drinking heavily during the messy divorce. His dad fought for custody of his 7 children, but even when he won, Kenny wondered if his dad really had ever wanted his children. He was gone for weeks at a time, leaving the kids all on their own, and he'd really just checked out emotionally. Finally, when Kenny was 14, his father, standing in the kitchen at his daughter's birthday party, announced to the family that he didn't want to have kids anymore. He turned to his oldest children and said, "You're going to have to figure out where these younger kids are going, because otherwise I'm putting them in foster care." The older siblings took the younger ones in, which meant that Rob's 23-year-old newlywed brother took 14-year-old Rob into his 8 by 35-foot mobile home. Abandoned by his own father at such an influential age, Rob thankfully found a father-like figure in his older brother, Rick. And he vowed to be a better father to his own children someday. Rob didn't reconcile with his father until just before his father's death, when now in his 80s, he asked his children for forgiveness. But all through his teen years and as he became an adult and bought his first house and became a father himself, he didn't have a dad to call for advice. And he missed that. Thinking that others might miss that safety net as well, Rob Kenny recently started a video blog called Dad, How Do I? It's practical Dadvice for everyday tasks. Thinking of his own grown kids, but also of anyone who struggles with a broken family or absent parents, he starts each one of his videos with, "Hey kids." Then he tells a dad joke. He's obviously nervous and a little shy, but then he gives some advice. How to unclog a sink, how to tie a tie, how to check your car's oil, how to use a socket wrench, how to change a tire, how to put up a shelf, how to iron a dress shirt. It has become his pandemic project during quarantine, making these videos. And he started on April 1st with only his own family and friends watching. He now has 2 million followers. I want it to be about everyday tasks, but I also would like to pass along some of the wisdom that I've learned along the way to encourage people, Rob said. I thought it was just going to be showing people how to do stuff, but it's kind of resonating on a whole different level. His video on how to stop a toilet from running has the most hits. But one of the videos that I like the best is called "I'm Proud of You." He starts with a dad joke. "I thought about going on an all-almond diet, but that's just nuts." Get it? Then he reflects on the fact that when he was younger, he sometimes let critics keep him from doing the things that he truly would have liked to do. He encourages us, his kids, not to do that, to put ourselves out there. Then he reads a short piece from a speech by Teddy Roosevelt called "The Man in the Arena." It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Then Rob Kenny looks at the camera, at his 2 million kids, and says what every single one of them is longing to hear. "I love you, and I'm proud of you." The response to that video gets him emotional. Some people, lots of people, commented that watching Rob's "I'm proud of you" video is the first time they've ever heard anyone say that to them. And just like that, the 12-year-old little boy whose father announced at a birthday party that he's done being a dad becomes part of the healing for 2 million other people who need to hear that a dad is proud of them. I love that story, and I invite you to share it with others on this Father's Day. And in case you are needing to hear that encouraging message too, here is my own dad telling you.
Hang in there, everybody. I love you. I'm proud of you. Happy Father's Day.
Everything Possible by Fred Small. We have cleared off the table, put the leftovers up, washed the dishes and put them away. I have read you a story and tucked you in tight at the end of your knockabout day. As the moon sets its sails to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and no You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one, special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. There are girls who grow up strong and bold. There are boys quiet and kind. Some dash on ahead, some linger behind, some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, some men love men, some raise children, some never do. You can travel all day without reaching the end of everything possible for you. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one, special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. Don't be rattled by names, by taunts, by games, but seek out spirits true. If you give to your friends the best part of yourself, they will give the same back to you. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one, special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. Will be the love you leave behind when you're done. Everything possible.